Hi everyone, I am Dr. Sakshi Arora Hans, your OBGY faculty at Marrow, and this is a privileged moment for me, a proud moment for me to introduce you to Dr. Kirti Singh, who has not just cleared her FMG exam of Jan 2025, but she's smashed it with a result of 248. Kirti, that's an amazing score, beta. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's all
And
your
we are
blessing.
joined by her parents. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir.
नमस्ते जी।
Namaste. And Kirti ने इतना अच्छा स्कोर लेकर आई है. So, how are you feeling right now?
बड़ा अच्छा महसूस हो रहा है जी। बड़ी अच्छी फीलिंग है। अच्छी फीलिंग है कि बच्चे ने इतनी मेहनत करी है, वो अपने उस तक पहुंची, जो भी उसने अपना टारगेट था। बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, बच्चे की मेहनत अब सफल हुई है, वो कामयाब हुई है।
Yes. And मैं आपको बताऊं मतलब जिस तरीके का इस बार का पेपर आया था, द काइंड ऑफ पेपर इट वाज, अगर किसी ने अपने अंडर ग्रेजुएट टाइम में जब ये अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में थी, जब ये पढ़ रही थी, अगर तब पढ़ाई नहीं करी होती, सो इस तरीके का स्कोर लाना पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. सो from the entire team of Marrow, we are so proud of you, Kirti.
Thank you so
थैंक
much,
यू
ma'am.
थैंक यू।
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I'll continue my discussion with Kirti because iske experience se many students are going to learn.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Kirti, will you please introduce yourself a little bit more about yourself? From which college have you graduated? From which university? From which country?
Yes, ma'am. So I graduated in July 2024 from Caucasus University, Georgia, and I have got a score of 248 out of 300 in my very first attempt in the FMG exam that was conducted on 12th of January 2025.
So, Kirti, in first attempt, getting a score of 248 says a lot about you. But, and we are going to look into how your preparation strategy and how you did this feat. But before that, I want to know, was Marrow your primary source of preparation?
Yes, ma'am. Marrow was my primary source, and I subscribed to Marrow back in 2021 in my fourth year. And since then, uh, I had been watching like the main videos and solving QBanks, giving GTs. Yes, ma'am.
So you've been doing everything what is required to get such a score.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Kirti, when you subscribed to Marrow back in 2021 in your fourth year, which subjects did you start with, and how did you manage between your hectic schedule and postings and assignments which you get in your university and the videos?
Ma'am, when I subscribed to Marrow, then I started, I think, with pathology at that time
Okay.
because I wanted to start from like very scratch and the basic subjects, and then I
Okay.
moved to clinical subjects. So I started from pathology, and it was quite hectic with classes and all those PPTs that you have to prepare and everything. But somehow I managed to watch videos because we used to have Saturdays and Sundays off in our
Okay.
university. So at that time, I used to, make it very, very sure that I utilize those, Saturday and Sunday more. I make it like more academically productive. So that way I managed to do it.
So every day were you able to watch during your the weekdays? Weekends, I'll just now talk a little bit more about it. But during weekdays, were you able to watch one video?
Yes, ma'am. Not just one, but I think two or three videos easily.
Two or three videos. And what was your pattern? Like you were watching the video and reading the notes simultaneously, or were you making notes in your handwriting? And were
Ma'am,
you solving QBank also simultaneously along with it?
ma'am, when initially I started watching videos, then at that time I made all the handwritten notes. Even for OBG, I made all the handwritten notes. And
Okay.
I remember that it was around when I made it by my hand, it was around 1,000 pages. It turned out to be 1,000 pages. So initially, I used to make it by my hand, handwritten
Okay.
notes. Then I switched, like in my sixth year. I switched to the digital notes.
Okay, that was the time. But and were you doing MCQs simultaneously?
Ma'am, when I started in my fourth year, at that time, my focus was not on MCQs. To be very honest, I did not solve MCQs at that time, but I
Okay.
was more focused on making concepts, watching the videos, revising the notes simultaneously on the same day itself. So I did not solve Q banks at that time, but yeah, starting from like last year, in my sixth year, I started solving Q banks, and I did like as many MCQs I could, and that way I did it.
So, see, beta, they can be, all those who are listening to us, there can be various approaches, and that depends totally upon you what approach you want to follow. Like the approach which Dr. Kirti followed was that she was watching the videos and she was preparing the content, and once that was done, then she shifted to MCQs, which again is a good approach. Some of you might like to do this, that you might want to solve the MCQs simultaneously. It totally depends upon you. The only thing what you have to remember is that before you land to India, that is something which I keep on repeating, you should be well prepared with at least 10 to 12 subjects. Kirti, is it right?
Definitely, ma'am, definitely. It's highly recommended to at least complete 10, 12 subjects before you reach India.
So, Kirti, when you gave this exam, what was the feeling after coming out? Like, did you find the exam tough? Did you find it moderate? And were you sure that you'll be getting a score of 200 plus?
Ma'am, to be very honest, when I was solving the questions during the exam, so I actually found the questions easier than Marrow GT. So at that
Okay.
time, feeling okay, it's not that tough. It's easier one. I have already prepared for it, so I did not feel it very challenging because I have already practiced the GTs. So, and after coming from the exam, I was very sure that I will be able to get 200 plus marks. But definitely, I was not expecting 250, 248. So
But Kirti, this is the kind of confidence which I want in every FMG student who's going for the exam. You should not be worried whether you'll be getting 149, 150, or 151. You should be sure that, ma'am, I am going to get 200 plus. Now I have to see that how much am I getting. But that confidence is going to come only if you work like what Dr. Kirti did, the way she worked. So, Dr. Kirti, when you landed in India, like you said that you had completed majority of your subjects, which
yes,
subjects were remaining uh, when you started your preparation after coming to India?
ma'am, actually, to be very honest, I completed all the subjects before coming to India, and after coming
Which
to India,
included first, second, and third year also? Did you get so much of time that you were able to complete the backlog also?
yes, ma'am, I
Wow,
completed
that's great.
the subjects, and for OBGY and surgery, I watched the main videos twice.
Wow. So that means if Dr. Kirti being in Georgia, where again it's not easy, I think you also have to give so many assignments. And since I have been to Georgia, I know students there have to go to their universities for attendance, right? And they have to stay. Some of the postings are really difficult for them. If she can do it, she did all the subjects, then I think everyone can do it. The only thing is you need to be consistent. And that is what you have to learn from Dr. Kirti. So,
Definitely,
Kirti,
ma'am.
now, what was your strategy after you landed in India? How did you then revise the subjects? And when you were saying that you completed all 19 subjects while you were there in Georgia, did you do it from the main videos or from revision videos? Even the short subjects?
Main videos, ma'am. But
Everything from main videos?
yes, main videos. But after coming to India, then I started watching the revision videos for
Okay.
knee surgery and most of the subject. For most of the subjects, I watched the revision videos, and then I revised only the revision videos notes. Then after that, I did not touch the main videos notes because at the end you have to concise everything. So
And I think in revision videos, this work has been done by the faculties.
definitely, ma'am.
So how many times were you able to revise the revision video notes before giving the exam?
Ma'am, if I would say that the proper revision that I planned, I started in November. That I planned around 4 revisions before the exam, and
Okay.
able to manage 4 revisions easily.
So you landed in India in July, right?
Yes, ma'am. In
From
August.
July, huh?
In
Sorry, Beta.
August.
In August, you landed in India. Okay. So from August to October, you were doing the MCQs?
Ma'am, from August to October, I was watching the revision videos and I was solving Q banks. That
Okay.
was
Okay. 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 So from August to October, that was your strategy. And then November, you started your revisions.
yes, ma'am. And to be very honest, I did not solve any MCQ in last 2 months of my preparation. I mainly focused on the revision only and GTs. That's it. No MCQs or no Q banks.
But then you were doing the GTs. Now, so how off when did you start appearing for the GTs and what were your scores? So here we have on the screen, when did you start giving the GT?
Ma'am, I think from 7th of August, I started giving GTs. That was my first GT that I gave on 7th of August. And after that, every week I used to give GTs.
And
Every
we
week.
can see that your score is consistently improving from 118, it became 125, and gradually it improved.
Yes, ma'am. Initially, when I started, my first GT score was, I think, 186 something.
118 something, it was there.
Ma'am, that was my mock score.
Actually, that
because
was your mock score. Okay. Okay.
because I think Marrow gives it like separately for part one and part two. So I
Part
think
two.
that
Okay.
part 118.
Okay, okay. I thought that was your GT. So 118 and 125, that's wonderful. So what
Um,
was your mock score overall?
Ma'am,
The
it was
national mock we had?
243.
243, and in the real exam, you've got 248. So
Um,
your mock scores are very much reflective of your original scores.
um,
Acha, so when you started giving your GTs, what was your score at that time?
Ma'am, the score of my first GT was, I think, 186 in total. And
Mhm.
then after that, starting from October, it
Okay.
was always 200 and plus. And then at last, it was like 243.
So total, how many GTs were you able to give before the exam?
Ma'am, I think 20 to 24 GTs I gave before the exam.
20 to 24 GTs. And how were you reviewing the GTs, Dr. Kirti?
Ma'am, actually, I made a GT notebook, and whatever
Okay.
I like wrong, I used to write that topic in my GT notebook, and then I used to review it from my main notes. And whatever like silly mistake I used to have, I just used to read the explanation there. I did not write it in the notebook. I wrote just the topics that were wrong, and that's how I reviewed.
That's a very good technique, that you were focusing on your weak topics and gradually you were strengthening your weak topics. That's excellent way of strengthening your weaknesses. Very good, Dr. Kirti. Okay,
Yes.
Kirti, how many modules, QBank modules did you solve in total?
Ma'am, to be very honest, I did not make any custom module by myself, but there
Custom
was a
module, nahi, the QBank modules, the total QBank modules you solved 597. That's also
yes,
very good.
yes, ma'am. I solve, I think, for most of the major subjects, I solve each and every UBank, obs and gynae, surgery, PSM, for most of the major subjects.
That's good. 590s. And these modules are the NEET PG modules which you were solving?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Very good. Dr. Kirti, what did you revise in the last 10 days?
Ma'am, in the last 10 days, I revised only my GT notebook mainly, whatever I used to have wrong questions, and
But you
mainly.
said you were writing only the topics there.
Yes, ma'am. I was writing topics and then I was reviewing them from the notes. But only
Okay, so
those.
those
Right.
topics you focused on. So in the last 10 days, you were revising those topics which you were frequently doing wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you solve NEET PGQ questions also? Previous year NEET questions, previous year INICT questions, or no?
Ma'am, I did not solve, but I watched all the recall videos that are present on the
Okay.
Marrow. So that way, I was able to like do the questions also, and I was able to clear those topics also. So
Concepts also.
so I found it very, very useful. I think rather than solving it by yourself, I think it's far more better than watching recalls because, ma'am, if I talk about you, when you took the NEET PG recall session, you not only just provided those questions, but you also reviewed whole topic.
Yeah.
So that way it became very, very easy.
See, that is our understanding at Marrow. If you are giving a recall very quickly, that's a half baked recall. Plus, when we are giving a recall, it's after a gap. So you are not watching the recall just for the question's a correct answer. You are watching it to know what else can be asked from that topic. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is why we make it sure that whenever a recall is being taken, we tell you what all topics, what all questions can be asked from the same topic. And this is exactly what happened in your exam this time. You know, the questions were not repeated. There were very few PYQs. Am I right?
Ma'am. But PYTs were there, but PYQs
Yes.
were.
PYTs were there, but there weren't many PYQs.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am,
Okay.
also I like that strategy very, very much of like watching recall. And if because there are some days when you don't feel like reading things, so I think
True.
this is the best way to watch recalls, especially 10 uh, last 10 days of your exam. It is very, very helpful to watch the recalls and just go through those topics so shortly.
And Dr. Kirti, did you also do these pearls, marrow pearls? Were you following marrow pearls? Were you learning them? Did you use the marrow pearls?
Yes, ma'am. Whenever when I was there in Georgia, so
Hmm.
when I used to travel for classes and my postings, so whenever in bus or metro, I used to open the pearls and just shortly I used to review the topics. So that way I used pearls.
Which means you have used almost all the features of marrow. Which is that one feature of marrow which you like the most?
Ma'am, I would say that the QBank is the gold standard one.
True.
Because if you are able to solve Marrow QBanks and Marrow GT, then you can easily crack the exam. You will not find the questions difficult. So, for me, the
QBank.
QBank is the best thing in Marrow.
And since you've watched all the videos of the faculties at Marrow, would you like to name any one or more faculties who specially influenced you?
Definitely, ma'am. I think you
Thank you so
uh,
much, Bita.
and Rohan sir, Abbas sir, Ela ma'am. I think each and every faculty is best in their way.
Thank you. Thanks from the entire Marrow faculties, and lots of congratulations and love and blessings to you. May you have a bright future ahead. And we want now to see Kirti coming to us again for a neat PG interview, smiling like this.
Definitely, ma'am. I will work harder.
Yes, I'm sure you would. And is there any parting message which you would like to give to your juniors, the way they should be preparing for the exam?
Ma'am, the one thing that I would advise each of my junior is to start early, first thing, and to be these two things. If you are able to manage, you can easily crack this exam. If you are consistent
I missed your voice, Bita. To start early and
and to be consistent, because ma'am,
true.
I was consistent during these 6 months. So if
Yes. Without consistency, you cannot clear any exam. Leave aside FMG, you cannot clear any exam if you are not consistent.
Yes, ma'am. And also to start early, because I have seen, mindset of students. They are like, okay, we will be, going to India and then we will be starting the preparation. And this is the wrong mindset. You should
Absolutely
start,
wrong mindset.
because, ma'am, this time also I realized that the questions were more integrated. So
Yes.
you we solve those questions if you are if your concepts are clear. If your concepts are not clear, you will not be able to make it. So
And
it's
I'm so
very.
glad you touched upon it, because this is a myth in all the FMG students, amongst everyone, that you just mug up a single liner questions, the popular sessions which are there on YouTube, which are emphasizing only on rote learning, and with the help of that, you will be able to clear the exam. This is not the case now. FMG exam is evolving. It's becoming more clinical based, more concept based, more integrated, like Dr. Kirti is saying. So, concepts is the key.
Yes, ma'am, definitely concepts is the key.
So, moving ahead, moving forward, each one of you will now have to focus upon concepts. And without concepts, you will not be able to clear this exam. And then concepts cannot be cleared just in 3 or 4 months. For that, like Dr. Kirti said, you will have to start early.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kirti. It was so good talking to you because you have so clarity of the concepts of how to move ahead. And that is again a very, very important trait which is required to clear any exam, where you should not be just focused. You should know that this is the strategy which you are going to follow and you should stick to that. So thank you so much, Dr. Kirti, and God bless you, beta. Lots and lots of love to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It means a lot. It means a lot to me.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.